Do 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 do. Ba 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 ba. Shabbat shalom. Do 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 do.
Rabbi, Rep. I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be okay. Actually, now that you mention it.
Da 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 da. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Great to see all of you. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Happy Passover to you. Welcome to those watching on the live stream from at home. I'm Rabbi Matt Berger. I'm joined on the bima with our soloist, Allison Rosoff. And as always, down at the piano, our accompanist, Joy Katzen-Guthrie, sporting a nice Pesach hat. This service will also include a Yizhar memorial toward the end. And we'll begin with some levity and singing of Chag Sameach, that we're joyful to celebrate not only Shabbat, but the holiday of matzah and freedom, Pesach. Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. We're gonna sing. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Shir, 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 Chag Sameach, ya la la la, ya la la. Pleasure to call forward any ladies who are here who would like to help out with the Shabbat candle lighting. You'll find the bracha, the blessing, not only on the screens, but also on page 2 of your prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, which translates to dwelling place of prayer.
Shanu ben Svatar, Kitzivanu, Bahadakner, Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the
v'ishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Let's all say Yasher Koach to our almost minion of ladies. We have 9 of you, including Allison as well. Sorry I don't make the 10th, but Joy does down there. As Israel remains in our thoughts, let's offer a special prayer on her behalf as well as for the soldiers. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. May you bless the soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces and all who stand guard to protect our people. Shield them from all troubles and injury. Help them secure freedom without loss of life for all those held captive by the enemy. May they have strength and courage of heart. We'll continue now with the Chatzi Kaddish, the half Kaddish that you'll find on 26.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabbah B'yamad yivrach Yudhei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala u'v'yizman kariv v'imaru Yishmei Rabba mevarach le'alam ol meyamaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damim rabbi ama v'imaru amen.
Let's rise now as we continue with the second part of our service, Shema and its blessings, beginning with the call to prayer, page 28. join me on 31, a prayer for creation. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. And a prayer of love, ahavat olam, found on 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We'll sing Open Up Our Eyes.
Open up our eyes, teach us how to live, fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivot Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Feel free to be seated. We'll continue the words of the Shema on page 36. You shall love Adonai your God with all your soul, with all your might, and with all your heart. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'shokmecha u'kumecha u'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'aretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Words of truth and faith that lead to our Song of Freedom are found on 39. Please join me. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we are taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, But the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And since we're in the festival of Passover, Mi Kamocha has another musical arrangement that goes along with it that sounds just like Ah Dear Hu, God is Great. Mi Kamocha Vaylim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Noran Tehilo, Oseh Peleh, Mi Kamocha Vaylim Adonai, Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Adonai Yimlo Le'olam Vayem. And we'll continue with a prayer of shelter, the Hashkivenu, on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Hamidenu Shomreinu lechaim.
Ushmor Zeiteinu Uvoeinu Lechaim u'shalom Ve'ata v'yad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
Beginning on the second day of Passover, typically during the Seder, we begin a process of counting upward from the second day of Passover through 49 days, 7 weeks of 7 days, eventually getting to the 50th day where we celebrate the giving of Torah at Mount Sinai, the third festival of the Jewish calendar year, which is Shavuot. And also on this day, the second day, we switch from the prayer for rain, signifying our connection to Israel, Mashiv HaRuach and Rit HaGashem, to the blessing for Tal, which is dew. So when we get to that second prayer called Givurot, which speaks of life and strength on page 50, just note that we'll be switching to that prayer for dew, which is the equivalent of the summer prayer. I'll ask all of us to rise. Allison leads us, beginning on page 46.
Adonai sivatai tiftach ufi yagir tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'yava. Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, Ata Rav Le'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechachel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Nofim Ve'rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata Lecha Chayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Feel free to be seated. We'll continue with the intermediate blessings, beginning with sanctification of Shabbat, the holy day of rest. You'll find the prayers on page 55. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. A prayer on the following page asking that God's presence will always remain with us in Israel and wherever we dwell. Baruch atah Adonai ha-Machazir shechinato l'Tzion. And words of gratitude or hoda'ah are found on page 59. Perhaps having family and friends over at Passover Seder dinner, and we had a wonderful celebration on Tuesday night here at the congregation. So we'll share these words of thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'chana'eh lechodot. And on the following two slides, but not in this prayer book because it's Shabbat only, there is a special prayer for the sanctification of this day called Ya'aleh v'Yavo. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'yimotenu Ya'aleh v'Yavo v'yizacher zichronenu v'zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha. Our God and God of our ancestors, be mindful of your people Israel and recall our merit for good and grace and in loving kindness and compassion for life and peace on this festival of Pesach, Chag HaMatzot. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova, ufokdenu vo livracha, v'hoshienu vo l'chaim. This day remember us for well-being. This day bless us with your nearness. And this day help us to a fuller life. And our tefillah always ends with a prayer for peace, birkat shalom, that you'll find on 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, God, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, Shalom. Now we'll sing words of peace The words of Oseh Shalom on the screen as well as on page 62.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
We'll continue now with our prayer of healing, Mishaberach, that you'll find on the screens, as well as on 253 in your Sidurim, in your prayer books, as we call to mind and to heart individuals in our community and beyond who are in need of strength. As we recall Joanne Beeman Fiddleman, Yonatan Ruben Ben Rivka, Charlie Burke, Brad Bliefeld, Tina Bruns, Marie D'Alessandro, Paul Devamy, Norman Fiddleman, Sue Fischelo, Harry Fleisch, Mitchell Freifeld, David Friedlander, Joyce Holbrook, Jim Howard, Kathy Howard, Phyllis King, Deborah Kramer, Luke Wall, Dave Lawrence, Joan Lawrence, Jonathan Marks, Tova Marks, Ken Mercereau, Arnold Miller, William Miller, Barbara Randall, Stephen Randall, Michael Ranzino, Stephanie Ross, Marty Satinoff, Carol Spani, Dennis Schulman, Cal Simon, Angie Sermanis, Jeff Stark, and Joyce Tucker. Are there any other names to add at this time, in addition to all those in Israel and Gaza who are suffering from injury?
Tim Cleary, Cookie Lopez, my father, George Stark.
Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Harry calls his son David in New Hampshire in the days leading up to Passover and says, "David, I have something important to tell you, but I don't want to tell it to you over the phone. I'm merely telling you because you're my eldest son, and you should know. I've made up my mind. I'm divorcing Mom." David was shocked, and he replied, "But Dad, you can't just divorce Mom just like that after 48 years together. What happened?" Harry replied, "It's just too painful to talk about. I only called because you're my son, and I thought you should know. I really don't want to get into it any more than this. You should call your sister and tell her. It'll spare me some pain." David then asks, "Well, where's Mom? Can I speak to her?" "No," Harry replied. "I haven't even told her yet. Believe me, it hasn't been easy. I've agonized over this for quite some time, but I've come to a decision. I have an appointment with the lawyer next week." David pleaded, "Dad, don't do anything yet. I'm going to take the first flight down and see you and Mom. Promise me that you won't do anything until I get there." "Well, all right," Harry says. "I promise. Next week is Passover. I'll hold off seeing the lawyer until after the Seder. Just call your sister now and break the news to her. I just can't bear to talk about it." About a half an hour later, Harry receives a call from his daughter Laura, who lives in Maine. She tells him that she and her brother were able to get tickets and that they and their children are going to fly right down to Florida and arrive in 2 days. She said, "David told me that you don't want to talk about this divorce over the phone, but promise me that you won't do anything until we get there." After agreeing to this and hanging up the phone, Harry turns to his wife Sarah and says, "Well, it worked this time. But what are we going to do to have him come down for Passover next year?" Oh man, what a guilt trip. There's a classic Jewish joke to lighten up the mood after a week of endless legal proceedings regarding the former president, an absolute eruption in pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel campus protests, and on a slightly lighter note, the news that The Onion, a veritable satirical weekly newspaper, now website, was sold to a group of digital media veterans. I'll ask our tech team to display one of their best headlines. "World death rate holding steady at 100%. While the sale of The Onion and the legal proceedings are intriguing topics on their own, I'm laser focused on the rampant pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel protests that have taken place on over 60 American college campuses just since April 17th. If you would take a look at the map, I'll ask our tech team to display on the screen. This was featured in a recent New York Times article called "Pro-Palestinian Encampments Spread, Leading to Hundreds of Arrests." Though it's very small, the protests are all in red, and those indicate where arrests have actually taken place, while other protests, much harder to see and fewer, are displayed in yellow ochre color. To be sure, most, if not all of us, are saddened and dismayed by these protests. The protesters who are occupying campus lawns and at times buildings blame Israel and by extension all Jewish people of genocide in Gaza. Some of them openly support Hamas and call for violent uprisings. All of them regularly chant horrendous slogans such as "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." Needless to say, this makes university life incredibly challenging for Jewish students, staff, and faculty. These statements are not only anti-Israel, but clearly anti-Semitic, as it imagines a world without the state of Israel and its Jewish population. The events of the past week were punctuated by another congressional hearing on anti-Semitism, this time with a contrite but ineffectual Columbia University president, Minouche Shafik, who is facing criticism from every direction. Speaking to the effect of the recent protests at Columbia in New York, a Jewish undergraduate student named Eden Yadigar shares the following. We have been attacked with sticks outside our library. We have been surrounded by angry mobs, and we have been threatened to keep effing running. So much for a bastion of higher education. Thankfully, there are upstanders at certain colleges and universities who have simply had enough. An upstander, according to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, is someone who takes a stand against explicit bias, hatred, and anti-Semitism, as opposed to a bystander. At my alma mater, Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia State Police officers were called in to physically escort protesters away from the quadrangle where tents had been set up early Thursday. Many of the student protesters were arrested and will surely be subject to academic consequences. And rightfully so, as anti-Semitism and Jewish harassment have no place on college campuses. As a student, I remember spending many hours lounging on that beautiful quad surrounded by marble facade buildings and hundreds of tulips. I spent time with friends and classmates. I played frisbee. I read books under shady trees. I ate lunch. I'll ask our tech team to show a picture of the quad on the screen. Yet on so many campuses today, serene experiences such as these are being replaced with clashes and protests, which have left so many Jewish students, staff, and faculty expressing concern for their own safety. Without a doubt, college administrators face extraordinarily difficult decisions when it comes to campus protests, because they have a responsibility to ensure that people can express their views even if they're offensive to others. At the same time, a lawyer for the American Civil Liberties Union, Ben Wisner, writes that university leadership, quote, also needs to protect students from targeted harassment, threats, and intimidation. On Wednesday, House Speaker Mike Johnson visited in solidarity with Jewish students at Columbia earlier in the week, just days after shepherding a $26 billion aid package for Israel through Congress, which includes $9 billion in humanitarian help for Gaza. Though he was met with many boos and jeers by pro-Palestinian activists, his message calling on President Shafiq to bring order to the chaos or resign is notable. Johnson said, quote, Congress will not be silent as Jewish students are expected to run for their lives and stay home from their classes, hiding in fear. Other upstanders have responded as well. Brandeis University, which was created the same year the State of Israel was created in 1948 to counter anti-Semitism and quotas on Jewish enrollment in higher education, has extended their transfer application deadlines for Jewish students who are not happy with their own school's response to campus anti-Israel protests. Months ago, the State University System of Florida openly welcomed Jewish students to transfer. And this Monday, Ohio State University President Ted Carter reminded students that, quote, when protected speech becomes threatening, Ohio State has and will always move quickly to enforce the law and university policy. We desperately need more upstanders in the world right now. People who stand up to hate and harassment, like Eden Yadigar of Columbia University, lawmakers who support the Jewish community in Congress, like Speaker Mike Johnson and Senator Chuck Schumer, and countries who take Hamas to task, not only for attacking humanitarian work sites in Gaza, which they did just 2 days ago right in front of UN personnel, but also demand that they release every single hostage it holds in Gaza, which the US and 17 other nations called for in a joint statement this week. During the Passover Seders, including our own here at the synagogue, many congregations and individuals chose to include an empty seat at the table for Israeli hostages unable to celebrate Passover Seders and our Festival of Freedom with their loved ones. At the same time, let us also remember that freedom includes the right for Jewish students, staff, and faculty to be on campus without fear of anti-Semitism, intimidation, and harassment. And it falls upon universities to enforce their code of ethics and maintain decorum on campus. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue now with the counting of the Omer. So as you'll see right here, this is an Omer counter. There are hundreds of different types of Omer calendars, from flip calendars to ones like this, which have pegs. You probably don't see it where you are. You can come in afterwards, but the days of the week are on top, 0 through 6, and the weeks are on the bottom, 1 through 7, as we count up to Sinai. So we're in the third day, moving into the fourth day, so I've made that change. And either on the screen or on page 278, our prayer book includes, includes not only meditation and preparation for the reciting the Omer, but also the blessing itself. The Omer is a biblical unit of measurement, somewhere around 3 liters, give or take. And it was a sheaf of barley from the harvest that the Israelites would bring on a daily basis from Passover to Shavuot to the temple in Jerusalem as an offering. And the what's left of that tradition, since there's no temple standing in Jerusalem, is our spiritual ascent from Passover to the festival of Shavuot. So I'll invite you to join me in the blessing. Hineni muchan zuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha-omer. That's the counting of the Omer. I'm ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. And here's the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha-omer, on the counting of the Omer. And today is the 4th day of the Omer. Hayom Arba'a Yamim La Omer. This time we'll continue now with our prayer, the Aleinu, which you'll find on page 282. If there are any gentlemen here who would like to help me open the ark, you can feel free to come forward as we rise for this special prayer of adoration.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'atid gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu kiglayeh haratzot, velo samanu kamishbechot harama, shelo sam kelkenu kahem vegar aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anaknu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
be seated. Yasher Koach, well done. This time we'll begin our Yizkor Memorial Service. All of these prayers you'll find right on the screen, beginning with the beautiful and comforting song, "The Lord is My Shepherd," the words of Psalm 23 in Hebrew. Please join me. With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, lead me beside the still waters, restores my soul, guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yes, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. Our loved ones live on in our broken hearts, and at times that brings a measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance they leave behind. We feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. It is said that the name of the one who has died shall not disappear. Our loved ones' names and their memories will endure among us, and these are the names on our lips and in our hearts. As I read the Yizkor list, those who have died during the past calendar year, as we fondly recall with love Jonathan Bernstein, Selma Biller, Gabriel Caprio, Bobby Chambers, Mark Joseph Fiel, Howard Friedman, Patricia Gamler, Leo Gilberg, Bruce Goldstein, Rose Greenbaum, Seymour Greenbaum, Sam Grossman, Jody Kaplan, Jerome Karp, Ellen Kolodner, Michael Leibovitz, Penelope Meza, Toby Nassiter, Karen Nulf, Carlos Rabasa, Joseph Richter, Robert Rosen, Stanley Rosenblatt, Edith Seligman, and Robert Wallenstein. Are there any names that were not mentioned on the Yizkor list that you'd like to include? We rise now for the memorial prayer known as El Malei Rachamim, God full of compassion.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochein B'Amramim, Amitzei Mechana Nechana, Techad Chanevei Ashrina, Im Gerushim Tohorim, Kezohar Mazhirim, Lenishmot Yakirinu Shechalchu Le'olamim, Balarachamim Yastireu B'Seitek Navav Le'olamim, Yitzror B'Tzror Chachayim Et Nishmatam, Adonai Hu Nachalatam, Ve'anuchu B'Shalom HaMishkavam, Ve'nomar Amen.
Please join me in the translation on the following slide. Merciful God, God Most High, let there be perfect rest for the souls of our loved ones who have gone into eternity. May they find shelter in your presence among the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May they find a home in you, and may they rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. Feel free to be seated. As we'll continue with the Mourner's Kaddish Kaddish Tome found on page 294, but first mentioning families in the period of Shloshim, first 30 days mourning their loved ones. We fondly recall Bobby Chambers, cousin of Lori Bout, Al Leo, close friend of Rabbi Gary Klein, Joseph Lieberman, former senator of Connecticut, Robert Wallenstein, cousin of Myron Graff, Selma Biller, aunt of Debbie Golem, Michael Leibowitz, nephew of Betty Slavny, and Sam Grossman, father of Michelle Gordon. To their names we add and mark the yahrzeit anniversary of passing of loved ones. On this Shabbat we remember Dora Barron, Max Berman, David Bloom, Anna Castillo, Maurice Citron, Joel Cohen, Harry Byron Diamond, Maxine Gladstone, William Greenberg, Louis P. Greiner, Yetta Karp, Helene Katz, Charlotte Kirstein, Priya Khanna, Morris Klein, Betty Raskin Kotler, Herbert Kotler, May Lipensky, Belle Lubotsky, Douglas Manning, Esther Miller, Blanche Miller, Lawrence Platt, Seymour Rubin, Arlene Sanders, Goldie Schaefer, Miriam Schloss, Samuel L. Stein, Helen Tamber, Gregory Waxman, Stanley Weinstein, Harold G. Wenig, Lester Weatherhorn, Max Wexler, and Guillaume Zisman. Are there any other names to add for yahrzeit at this time? We say Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of all of these good people continue to be a blessing in their loved ones' lives as we rise to offer the words of Kaddish praise together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlit malchutei, v'chayechon of yomechon v'chayei tekol beit Yisrael, v'agalau b'zman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbah mebarach le'olam u'amei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu la'elam mikol birchata v'shirata tuvishvachata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yoma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Imru Amen. May the one who causes peace in the heavens cause peace to descend on us, Israel, and throughout the world, to which we say Amen.
V'miru, 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 Amen. V'miru,
We'll continue now with the Shabbat Kiddush, blessing over the fruit of the vine. You'll find the blessing on page 5 as well as the screen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shaman kodsho v'yavahu ratzon inilanu zikaron lema'aseh b'reishit ki hu yom tefillah life. The only two kids here to help me out with the matzah and the motzi are my kids, Avi and Meital. It's a very thin package here, as you can see. All right. It does not stay up like the challah now. All right, it's still the motzi though, even though it's matzah. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for matzah. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Motzi lechem min haaretz. Tevon, enjoy. It's certainly original matzah. My pleasure now to call upon our immediate past president. Is Don Hirschman here? Oh, it's going to be Paula Rosoff. It's a combo. Well, welcome.
I checked, by the way, and if that gets lost, Amazon.com does have Omer counters.
Oh, they do. I'm sure they do.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and happy Passover.
Many thanks to Rabbi Matt, to Allison, to Joy for leading a wonderful Shabbat Pesach service, and to Bruce and Steve Konigsberg, our tech team, our greeters, Saul, Judy, and Steve. Steve just left. Oh, he's greeting the latecomers, okay.
Our gigantic book giveaway is underway and will continue until on Sunday, April 28th during religious school. Take a look, pick a book, and make a deal.
Come on in after during the Oneg as well, those of you who are in-house. The Pinellas County Board of Rabbis and the Jewish Federation will host a Yom HaShoah Holocaust commemoration on Sunday, May 5th at 7 p.m. at Congregation Beth Shalom with guest speaker Michael Eigel, interim CEO of the Florida Holocaust Museum.
On Monday, May 6th at 12:30 p.m., Rabbi Matt will be leading the Kaddish and reading the names of Jews who died during the Shoah at the Florida Holocaust Museum, which will be live streamed.
On May 7th, a Monday night, Rabbi Matt at 7 p.m. will be giving the invocation and receiving a proclamation in support of the Jewish community from the city of Tarpon Springs. We urge people to come along.
Our Social Action Committee will help lead the Shabbat service on Friday, May 10th, featuring special readings and 2 guest speakers from our community partner, Tarpon Springs Shepherd Center, which supports children and families in the area.
Join us on Monday, May 13th at 7 p.m. for a great Israel Independence Day program with Israeli author and comedian Joel Chasnoff. This free program is the opening night of Israel Days, sponsored by the 5 area congregations and the Jewish Federation.
Our next Shabbat morning minyan, led by Ron Gilberg, will be on Saturday, May 18th at 9 a.m.
And after the service this evening, please join us for a Pesach Oneg Shabbat in the social hall.
Shalom, and happy Passover.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful duet.
Well done.
Appreciate the announcements. I know there was a lot, but this is a busy time of year. Our closing song, you'll find right on the screen, is the spiritual Let My People Go. When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus said the Lord, bold Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. No more shall they in bondage toil. Let my people go. Let them come out with Egypt's spoil. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Rabbi. Wonderful sermon tonight. Wonderful sermon.